It's a waiver wire Tuesday. We're going to go deep at the running back position, looking at those waiver wire dandies, those running backs you're trying to add to your fantasy team. The one thing I want to note about the waiver wire at the running back position going into week 11, there's not many changes. Running backs aren't really getting hurt, so you're looking at your favorite handcuff running backs. Pick up your favorite handcuff. That's the running back you're looking at off waivers right now. There are not many running backs on the waiver wire who's really getting a lot of work to really throw into the lineup. However, you're looking at running backs to stash for the future. You're getting your deck in order for the fantasy playoffs. So you're getting your handcuff for your starter. You're getting that stash running back who's available right now. You're picking that guy up. There's a few running backs that's seen a little bit more opportunity. But again, you're looking at your favorite stash. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're going deep looking at the waiver wire this week. We're going to use these videos to help you set your lineups. And on top of that, we're doing deep dives on all the trending players with the You Need series. Guys who are climbing the depth chart, those trending guys off the waiver wire, so you can get an extra look at them at the advanced analytics and their situation. Click that button. Stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching, and you do not want to disappoint Ric Flair. We're going to start off with Audric Estime. He got some run last week. We got 14 carries. Not much fantasy production to his name right now, but we're starting to get more work. Sean Payton saying, hey, we like what we see. We're going to keep using him. Does that mean he's going to be fantasy relevant going forward? We do not know. Javonte Williams is still there. We're looking at Audric Estime, though, for the long haul of this team, and he could turn up getting some more production down the line. We do have the Raiders coming up in 2 weeks. That's a very advantageous matchup. This is a running back to stash. He's been a stash running back all along for fantasy football, especially more for deeper leagues because there's a lot more other stashes to look at, considering it's the Broncos, considering they had two other running backs in front of them. But now we're starting to get some work. We're starting to get some opportunities. We had a 63.6 opportunity share last week, which is up there compared to some of the top running backs last week. Audric Estime is trending right now. He's looking good for the future. You want to see what's up with him. He's not a must get, but he's a guy to look at off the waiver wire. Jaylen Warren, his workload's increasing. He's seeing more opportunities. 3.1 yards after contact per attempt last week. We're getting a little bit of work in the passing game. They're splitting up the work. He's a running back that if you're really hurting at the running back spot, you could probably throw in there and pray to the fantasy gods because we're getting a decent route participation rate out of him. We ran 15 routes, a 45.5 route participation rate, which is good considering he's sharing the workload. We're getting some work out of that. We're going to have to score some touchdowns sooner than later considering how much work he's getting. Jaylen Warren's a guy to have on your bench to play the matchups with. He's another running back that might get some extra opportunities later on down the line. Cam Akers, and he's a handcuffed running back right now. He proved it last week. Aaron Jones went out with an injury. He was out for a little bit. Cam Akers was getting the touches. He was getting the work. He was getting the opportunity at a 35% opportunity share. Due to that, Aaron Jones came back in during the tail end of the game. Cam Akers, though, proved to be the handcuff on this team. You may want it. You may not want it. He hits about 1 out of every 3 games. That's when he was with the Texans. That might be very similar here with the Vikings. Very up and down. However, when you're looking at running backs, and if something does happen to Aaron Jones, you might be wanting that on your team. If you're solid at running back, you may not, but that's something to look at for your fantasy team going forward. Trey Benson got some work. James Conner did very well on Sunday. The Cardinals were up. He got some extra touches, though. Averaged 4.4 yards after contact per attempt. He's explosive. He might get more touches down the line. A handcuffed running back to look at. A running back that, if something happens to James Conner, this could be a running back that explodes on you and goes off. He could be vastly important for you winning your championship this year. He's a running back to look at as your stash play, as your handcuff for the back 9 of the season. Tyler Allgeier is one of the most underrated handcuffs in the National Football League because if something happens to Bijan Robinson, he's just going to volume his way into fantasy production. He'll see about 20 or more opportunities a game. He'll get goal line looks, and every so often he'll pop up in the box score, and there's games where he will get double-digit carries. It doesn't always amount to fantasy production, but that is an indicator that he will get a lot of work if something does happen to B. John Robinson. So that is something to note here with Tyler Allgeier. And he has been, I'd say, trendy, not super productive for fantasy football. Tyler Allgeier is a player to note off the waiver wire if you're looking for a stash play. Jonathan Brooks. When am I going to stop talking about Jonathan Brooks, they say? Chuba Hubbard's never going to leave, they say. The thing is, the people who comment that are dumb as fuck, because it's all about Miles Sanders and taking Miles Sanders' workload, because we say this every week that Chuba Hubbard's going nowhere. People who comment that are dumb as fuck. But Jonathan Brooks, after the bye, will get some added opportunity. We get to see what's going on with him. Miles Sanders dealing with an injury. He's going to get some opportunity. This is a stash play with upside. This is an upside lottery ticket. And if you don't see that as an upside lottery ticket and you're commenting in all those videos, you're just a dumb motherfucker. And Gus Edwards here, getting volume here when he's coming back. 10 carries here, something to look at. Wasn't very productive earlier in the season. J.K. Dobbins has been the man. However, if you're in a deeper league and you're looking for touches, here you go. He's getting some. Blake Corum. Kyren Williams is the man. He's getting all the touches. However, if something does happen, that workload's got to go somewhere. Blake Corum's got some upside there. And Kyren Williams is leading all running backs in workload. That being said, that means two things. You're pretty much getting a season and a half work out of Kyren Williams. So the odds of injury increases because you're getting the extra work. On top of that, if that does happen, the workloads going to the running backs is going to be immense for backups. It will be reduced compared to Kyren Williams because nobody else in this world is going to get that many touches. However, it's going to be good workload for a running back. Blake Corum's the perfect insurance policy for Kyren Williams. If I have Kyren Williams, I want Blake Corum right now. Tyrone Tracy should not be on waivers, but there are shallow leagues. There are leagues where people are adding him and dropping him, adding him and dropping him. You're seeing that in the drop rates every week because he's hitting every other game. And that's because the Giants are up and down. But this is a tremendous talent like we've been saying all year long. Ray Davis has some upside on any given Sunday. Runs a fair amount of routes, good between the tackles, good running back to look at, a good stash ops. We're looking at Alexander Mattison, catching balls out of backfield, getting work, up and down running back. But still, if you're looking for work at the running back position, Alexander Mattison is going to get that. Jaylen Wright is a pop gun running back with speed to burn. If something happens to the starting running backs, just one of them, he could be a guy that goes off. On top of that, we're going to get to the back end of the season, and they may decide to ride him out a little bit, get him a couple extra series a game to see what they have under the hood, to see what they can roll with in 2025. Upside play, lottery ticket stash on the back end of your roster. Same thing with Isaiah Guerendo. Christian McCaffrey's back, but if injuries happen, we saw it. He's a home run hitter. He's a home run swing. And there's games where it'll strike out. There's games where it'll just blow it over the fence. That's Isaac Guerendo. Braelon Allen. We've seen it. If something happens to Breece Hall, he's going to get a lot of work. He's going to get work in the passing game. He's going to get goal line work. You know this. He's a handcuff. Another handcuff to look at. Roschon Johnson behind DeAndre Swift. Not a sexy handcuff. He does get work in the passing game. Something happens to Swift. Khalil Herbert's gone. He's going to get a lot of work. We're not trusting the Bears' offense. However, you got to do what you got to do in certain leagues. Emari Demercado is going to split the work with Trey Benson. If something happens, it'll be about 50-50 if that happens. The Cardinals showed their hand a couple times. After Connor went out to get taped up one time, they split up the workload. And Emari Demercado is explosive. They use him catching the ball out of the backfield. They allow him to run a lot of routes. He's got some upside, and if that happens, and you want to play it you can spend a little bit less on Emari Demercado if you want a piece of the backfield. Khalil Herbert, because he's part of the Bengals offense right now, behind Chase Brown, might get additional opportunities as he ramps up in the offense. I'd only look at this in deeper leagues. If it's tight on my roster right now, I'm in a 12 or 10 man league, I ain't even thinking about it. Justice Hill, a good upside play any given week with volume. However, it is drastically low on the upside games where he hits. However, if you're looking for a running back in an offense that heavily uses their running back, and if something happens to Derrick Henry, you know he's going to get a lot of workload. You know that's going to happen. If I have Derrick Henry, I might think about Justice Hill. I might think about that. The thing about Sean Tucker, he's proved that he can be competitive on the NFL field. He's proven that he can be productive. He's proven that he's got the skill set to do it. If something happens to one of those main running backs, he's going to get the workload. They like to use 2 running backs, sometimes on the field at the same time. Sean Tucker's a workhorse and is a guy that should be stashed. If I have one of those backs, maybe you look at him as one of the handcuffs to them, because if one of those running backs get hurt, he's going to get some opportunities for a deep play. If something happens to Mixon, he's going to get more work, but he's been hurt, he's been banged up. That's not a guarantee. That's why it's a deep play, because he's got to come back first. But how deep are you in right now in your league? Keaton Mitchell as the upside flyer, lottery ticket later on down the road if you can make it happen, because he's a shotgun running back that can pop off and win your week on any given touch. We've already seen it last year. He's got the speed. Allow him to ramp up, but still, he's Keaton Mitchell. He's going to have to do what he's got to do. Those are the running backs we're looking at for Week 11. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.